Welcome to Meaningful Activities to Generate Interesting Classrooms, Section 4, Part 4, Treasure Hunt. It is important that review activities be engaging and memorable. Our next activity, Treasure Hunt, really bumps the review activity up a notch. In our next review activity, you will follow clues to locate question cards that contain review questions. Please locate page 149, Activity Treasure Hunt. Please note that this activity has been adapted to meet our remote learning environment. The original directions are provided in the participant manual in case you would like to use this activity with your students. How many of you have ever been on a scavenger or treasure hunt? I have a story I want to share with you. Recently, I found out firsthand how much kids enjoy scavenger and treasure hunts. I was one of several drivers for a group of teens participating in a treasure hunt around our community. The drivers of the other cars had lived in the town their whole lives and knew where everything was. I was a relative newcomer. Nonetheless, the kids and I were having great fun zipping around town, finding clues and preparing for victory. All of a sudden, one of the kids said, "What are those flashing lights behind us?" Oh no! The finish line was in view and I was being pulled over. The policeman walked up to the car and said in front of all these teenagers, "What's the big rush, mister?" They all blurted out, "We're doing a treasure hunt and we're in the lead." The policeman looked at the kids and then at me. A little smile appeared on his lips and he said, "You were going a bit fast, and I'll let you go this time, but slow down." The kids cheered, and we were off, slowly, to the finish line. In spite of the delay, we still managed to win the treasure hunt, and we also had the best story, which, much to my chagrin, the kids were happy to tell everyone. This treasure hunt was the inspiration for doing a similar activity in the classroom. For this treasure hunt, you will form color teams. Please go to Canvas, Modules, Section 4, Part 4, Treasure Hunt, to find the revised activity directions and your group members. Your team will use the Google Slides that match your team color to create your treasure hunt clue cards. First, number your slides in sequential order, as shown in the illustration on this page. Your team is going to write one spiral review question per card or slide that relates to the course content up to this point. Select one review question from each section, including the current section. This models spiral review. Please feel free to look at the table of contents from your course manual. Please locate page 151, Treasure Hunt Placement Cards / Placement Clues. Under the question, add a location clue from page 151 or your own location clue to point those who read the slide to the location of the next review question card. If you are actually doing this in your classroom, make sure the location clue you choose is in the room. Please remember, we will not be able to actually follow the clues in our current remote learning environment. We are writing the cards to model what the finished product should look like and how students would complete the review activity. Also, make sure that the review question and the location clue are different on every slide. Your last slide should direct you to the location of slide number 1. If we were completing this activity in a face-to-face environment, I would ask half of the teams to stay and half to leave so teams can hide their question clue cards. Now, we will have our yellow, blue, and pink teams share their treasure hunt questions first. Remember, if we were completing this activity in a face-to-face environment, I would ask half of the teams to stay and half to leave so teams can hide their question clue cards. We will now have our green, purple, and white teams share their treasure hunt questions next. Once we have reviewed the answers, consult the participant manual for discrepancies and/or to double check for accuracy. Were there any questions that you were unable to answer or unsure of the answer? How did this activity provide multiple means of engagement, action, or expression? Engagement. Did you choose your topics and clues? Action. If you were to complete this face-to-face, do you see how handling the clue cards is hands-on? What about moving from clue to clue? Expression. Did the activity require creative problem solving? What topics would you use for a treasure hunt in your classroom? Please locate page 152, Classroom Connections. Could topics include geometric shapes, grammar and punctuation questions, curriculum questions, identifying states and capitals? What is your process for hiding clues? If you do not want to have half your students unsupervised in the hall, could students create the clues one day and then the teacher can hide them prior to class the next day? Could you divide the classroom with screens and half of the class could hide the clues while the rest are reading on the other side of the divider? If you were doing this activity online, how could you hide clues? Please take a moment to review the activity assets to debrief this activity. Remember, when students create the clues, they review the information when they write the questions, and then they review the information again when answering the questions. You can ask students to answer the questions from memory, or allow them to use resources. You can also theme the treasure hunts by using Easter eggs, Christmas stockings, pumpkins, or items related to the unit of study to hide the clues. You can also create a treasure hunt that spans several classrooms, with classrooms competing against one another. This concludes Section 4, Part 4, Treasure Hunt. Please continue to Modules Section 4, Part 4, Positioning Activities Review, Classroom and Reflection Connections.